The world may be about to gain another hectocorn. Hectocorn is the name given to startups that are valued at $100 billion or more. There are only two hectocorns in the world, ByteDance and SpaceX, but they might soon be joined by a third. That third startup is none other than OpenAI, the creator of ChatGPT, which grabbed a lot of headlines this year. ChatGPT was released in November 2022 and quickly gained popularity due to its ability to generate human-like answers and act as an advanced search engine. OpenAI is now engaged in talks to raise new funding that's worth $100 billion, which would make it the second most valuable startup in the world after SpaceX. While this is a very tough task, the company might just be able to pull it off, because lots of investors want to own a piece of OpenAI. But why does OpenAI want to raise this whopping amount? And what does it mean for Microsoft Corp, which holds a 49% stake in the company? Let's dive in and find out. Welcome back to PSD Market, where we cover the most exciting stock market news daily. Please consider subscribing if you haven't yet so you don't miss out on the next big thing in the markets. The first question that we have to answer is why OpenAI has yet to give a specific reason for raising the extra $100 billion. The most likely reason could be related to talks to raise funds for a new chip venture with Group 42, the Abu Dhabi-based AI development company. This venture would be worthwhile for OpenAI since developing its own chips could help OpenAI substantially decrease costs since it would no longer use chips made by other companies such as NVIDIA, which is the main supplier of chips for OpenAI and for other companies. On top of that, you may have noticed lately that a lot of people have been complaining about ChatGPT's performance, which Altman blamed on chip shortages affecting the speed and reliability of the company's API. Therefore, having its own chips would circumvent this issue. In fact, CEO Sam Altman has publicly complained about the chip shortage and has made getting the company its own chips a priority. To this end, Altman sought billions to invest in a chip maker before he was temporarily fired and rehired. Now it looks like he has got his wish. OpenAI has already talked about receiving $8 to $10 billion from G42, but it's unknown whether the $100 billion would also be raised to support the same venture. It's interesting to note that at this point, OpenAI already had plans to raise $86 billion when Thrive Capital led a tender offer that would allow its employees to sell shares to outside investors. This makes the reason behind the funding round target of $100 billion even more baffling. The tender offer, which will be completed in January, would have Thrive Capital and other investors buying shares from the employees and thus injecting liquidity into OpenAI. This can be considered as a tender offer because OpenAI is allowing employees to sell their shares to Thrive and other investors instead of issuing new equity. While getting a chance to own stock in a company that might one day surpass Apple is a very easy sell, the offer generated greater demand among investors than was expected, which could be another reason why the company decided to pump up the funding target. Striking while the iron is hot to fill up the company coffers. Yet another question remains: what will the funds actually be used for? We've already looked at the possibility that the funds could be used to help develop OpenAI's own chip, but let's explore other possibilities as well. The company might be planning to use the funds to develop a new ChatGPT model, GPT-5. In November, CEO Altman said that the new model would provide more features than the current one, but didn't go into details. One detail he did share was that the new model would require more data to train than the current one. The data will come from both public sources and companies that will partner with OpenAI to provide it with data. He also said that it's hard to predict a timeline for the release of the model. He also said that he expects OpenAI to continue raising money. This may indicate that a large chunk of the money raised would go toward acquiring data to train the new model. Don't forget that now, with the astronomical increase in the popularity of OpenAI, they are expected to release an equally impressive iteration of the next ChatGPT. In addition to the staggering amount of data required, developing AI is also expensive because it requires specialized hardware to handle the high volume of data and computations. There are also software costs that revolve around data collection, organization, and processing. Not to mention the significant labor cost for the highly skilled personnel that will have to be brought on to handle the new data, in addition to any new features that will be added to ChatGPT. Another perhaps more intriguing possibility is that the funds will be used to move toward OpenAI's long-term goal, creating artificial general intelligence, AGI. This hypothetical AI model is supposed to carry out various tasks and learn new ones in a way similar to humans. It could even possess autonomous self-control and a degree of self-understanding. Whether this type of AI would be included in GPT-5 is still unknown. In addition, OpenAI hasn't announced a timeline for having AGI. The only thing we can guess is that developing such an advanced AI will be very expensive, which would explain why OpenAI keeps raising funds. An interesting question that presents itself is why OpenAI didn't go public and instead opted to go privately, raising such a huge sum of money. In June of this year, Altman said that the company has no plans to go public. He explained this by saying that being publicly listed would interfere with the company's ability to develop AGI. He elaborated by saying that developing superintelligence could lead to making decisions that would seem odd to investors, giving more credits to the thesis of the funds being raised to build an AGI. So now that we covered what OpenAI might be possibly doing with the extra cash, is there a way for us to invest in OpenAI and capitalize on all this insane growth? PST has you covered. While you can't invest directly in OpenAI, you can indirectly. That is by investing in Microsoft, which, although it does not own any part of OpenAI, is entitled to a 49% of the share of OpenAI's profits. This is because the tech giant invested around $13 billion in the AI developer, and the two companies have a confidential agreement which implies that they are closely linked. The fact that good news for OpenAI has a good effect on Microsoft and its stock is supported by looking at the effects of OpenAI raising funds on Microsoft's stock. If we look at the chart for Microsoft, we can see that the stock has been on an uptrend since November and recently hit its all-time high since OpenAI started raising funds. Before you jump in on the Microsoft/OpenAI hype train though, a word of caution. Recently, the UK's Competition and Markets Authority, CMA, started an investigation into the relationship between Microsoft and OpenAI. Currently, the CMA is just gathering evidence and has asked both companies to comment. What the CMA fears is a potential merger between the two companies, which could harm competition. If the CMA decides that the partnership is anti-competitive, Microsoft's support for OpenAI may decrease. This will have an adverse effect both on OpenAI and on Microsoft's stock. To conclude, OpenAI is a very hyped-up company right now that's capitalizing on the AI trend to raise funds. Therefore, it's only natural that with all this hype and money injected, we can expect great things in 2024. This could translate into profits for the AI developer, as well as Microsoft, its main backer. It will certainly be intriguing to keep up to date with news coming out of this company. Please let us know what you think in the comments below. If you haven't, please subscribe and leave a like for this video. Your support helps us continue our work. Thank you again for your support, and I'll see you in the next video.